Complicated? Accrue lets you focus on what is really important. Life. Invest in premium commercial real estate for as low as $1,000 without hassle and worry. Accrue. Making the exclusive inclusive.
Well, our final guest is no stranger to crypto. In fact, he took part in really creating the first ever security token. Please help me welcome Mr. Brock Pierce alongside Dara Albright of Dara Albright Media.
Wow, this is fantastic. First, so I just want to say thank you very much to Alon, Joseph. It's been a phenomenal event. These sessions have been incredibly educational, and I hope we can end here on a high note. It's an honor to be here tonight with Brock Pierce, who I don't think needs an introduction. He's a blockchain entrepreneur, an investor, a philanthropist, actor, even a presidential candidate. Is there anything, Brock, that you haven't done? This is it's truly an honor to be here with you tonight. And while I could probably ask you a gazillion questions on a number of topics, we're going to stick to focusing on our discussion, which is lessons you've learned while creating the very first security token. So, ready to jump in?
Born ready.
Okay, awesome. So, let's go back, rewind, go back to history in 2017 when the ICOs were all the rage and capital was really being raised outside of the purview of the SEC. What made you decide to take the compliant path and really change the course of history with the creation of the first security token?
Well, let's take a step back even further, which is one, I was an advisor to a company called Distilled Jeans out of Los Angeles, which was on track to be the first ever Reg A offering in the United States as a result of the Jobs Act. I think we were number 2. But the reason I got involved in textile denim was not because I wanted to be in the fashion business, but I was convinced that the Jobs Act was going to have a very big impact on capital formation. I also then started running one of the first ever syndicates on AngelList. The Brock Pierce Syndicate was a top 10 syndicate on the platform, and I was very involved. I also was a co-founder and the founding chairman of Mastercoin, where we were the first ever ICO. We invented the ICO market in the summer of 2013. And so as someone that was straddling those two markets, it was obvious to me that most of these early ICOs, not all of them were really needed to be utility tokens. What they wanted was access to non-dilutive capital. And so having seen the opportunity, everyone's going, Brock, I want to do an ICO. I want to do an ICO. I'm like, but you're not really a utility token. I have this idea. Let's invent this new thing called a security token that's compliant. We don't have to circumvent securities law. There is a way to do it all compliantly. And I pitched people for 2 years and tried to convince anyone to do this. And they kept going for the non-dilutive capital every single time. And eventually, due to my own frustration that I couldn't get anyone to see the light and to figure this out, I finally said, okay, I'm just gonna have to do it myself to show people how it's done. And so for Blockchain Capital, the first venture fund that I co-founded that was funding these companies exclusively, I said, let's do our third fund as a security token offering, which we did as BCAP, which was really just to open source the idea, praying, hoping that everyone that's been here in this event today and everyone that's contributed to the development of this ecosystem, it was just to show you that this is possible. And so it brings me incredible pleasure, great pride to see all the work that all of you have done. Thank you so much for seeing the vision and helping to manifest and make this a reality.
No, that's fantastic. And it's incredible because look at you choosing that path. A lot of these other companies that went the ICO path, look what happened. So, and you really, you really created a whole new industry, out of this. So a whole new industry was born. So that's pretty incredible. Were you kind of following the whole crowdfunding movement? I mean, was some of this born out of that, do you think?
Absolutely. And the first ever public talk I gave was actually at the founders of this conference's event, which interestingly enough, the keynote speaker years ago, back before it was a crowdfunding conference, before it became the Security Token Summit, Tim Draper was the keynote. And Tim Draper, due to a health issue or something, got sick. I forget what it was specifically, had to cancel last minute. And Alon was like, what do we do? What do we do? And Tim Draper said, I know the perfect replacement. He's the best speaker in the world to talk about crowdfunding, to talk about everything that's happening. And the introduction was made, and I filled in for Tim Draper. It was so last minute, though, that they weren't able to update the program. I gave the speech, as Tim Draper's stand-in. And then the funny thing is, Tim Draper and Alon kept getting emails afterwards saying, Tim Draper, your speech was so great. It was such an honor to be there. and we were sending emails to each other, laughing and joking about it all. And I want to sing Tim's praises as well. I ran for president in the last election cycle. He was one of the first people to say Brock would make an incredible president. And again, he wrote the original reference letters for me at Blockchain Capital. He was an LP, telling all of our early investors or LPs that, I was like the smartest guy you could get behind if you were looking to put money into this sector. And so I owe the Drapers so much, and so grateful for their support, and so glad to show up and speak here at this event for people that have done so much for the collective benefit of this community.
Oh, that's fantastic. I remember that event, actually. I was there as well a couple of years back in those early days. And how has the industry changed? I mean, it's pretty remarkable. Have you been following a little bit of some of the new rule changes for Reg CF and Reg A Plus? And just how do you think that will now impact security, this whole security token environment and marketplace?
Yeah, I think both of these trends ultimately are, going to culminate in this, I think, great change in the world. And so, yes, so when we did BCAP, it was a Reg D and a Reg S offering. We were the first. And it was like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? And we were definitely pioneering, trailblazing. And, for pioneers, sometimes that does result in arrows in the back. Katie Hahn from the Department of Justice had just left and joined as an advisor right before that first offering, which gave me, again, it allowed me to sleep very well at night, that we had assembled all the appropriate parties. But yes, what's happening here in terms of raising the limits. So I believe in democratization of opportunity. It makes me very happy to know that the American people have the ability to participate in opportunities that are being created, and they don't exist exclusively for the elite. I'm a big fan of the Reddit rebellion and stopping the GameStop, and, all of these things. And so I think the idea that, accredited investors should not be the only people in the world that get access to opportunity. I want to see every American win. I want to create all win solutions, not just for America, but for the entire world. And so, yes, the raising of the limits and continuing to change capital formation, the democratization of opportunity, I think is a great thing. I think it also benefits security tokens. The last panel of speakers, I think, hit a lot of the core nails on the head there. And that is that we need global markets that run 24 hours a day, that are interoperable with systems. And so I agree with almost everything I heard. And yes, I think that, we continue to make major advancements, new major milestones have been reached. And yes, I'm so happy to see the changes legislatively that are occurring these days. I spend a lot of my time traveling around the country, educating state legislators, federal legislators, the House and the Senate, Financial Services Committee, and otherwise, testifying to continue to help support this very important progress that, again, democratizes opportunity so that all Americans can participate and win.
And you're right. That's exactly what it's all about. And, it's interesting because you're doing it for the first security token actually with a venture fund. How many Americans have the opportunity or have had the opportunity in recent years to invest in these early stage companies as a VC would, and especially do that through their retirement portfolios? And that's, just even that alone and giving them access to these, earlier stages from a venture opportunity is just that's what it's all about.
Yeah, there's no question. And here's just some facts and figures. So in the 1980s and 90s, when innovative companies, pioneering businesses, technology companies like Microsoft went public. Remember when Microsoft went public? It went public for less than a $1 billion market cap, meaning these private companies on the forefront of innovation, when they went public, the private investors, the venture capital investors, captured less than 1% of the terminal value of those businesses. Fast forward to the 2000s and this last decade, when leading pioneering technology companies go public, the private investors are capturing close to 100% of all the upside or terminal value. Now that varies deal by deal.
Right.
But what that means is the private investors, the venture capitalists, took all the money off the table and then left the public investors, the non-accredited investors, holding the bag. And it's not fair. We are not allowing the public to participate in value creation because the financial engineers have taken everything for themselves. And that's why this movement, the ability and democratization of opportunity, is so important, because I believe everyone should be able to participate in value being created by those of us on the front line.
Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, retail investors, and I think that's what we're seeing a lot happening too, just with the whole Reddit rebellion and everything that's going on there. Retail investors are not the exit strategy for the financial elite. And that's what we've become because, our capital markets became so messed up over the years. So, you're spot on. In fact, I did a little research on that. You had mentioned Microsoft went public.